Hey everybody, I'm Mark Walters of BigFanboy.com, and I am here at the USA Film Festival 2015 edition with the wonderful Ernie Hudson. Thank you so much for being here. We're here with Gallows Road,
Yes.
which is premiering tonight here at the festival. I'm sure this is a very exciting project for you, very emotional type of journey to take for this character.
Yeah, you know, I do a lot of films and a lot of TV work, but you know, you get a project that you want to see out there, and it's great to see it finally come to fruition. And the fans will get a chance to see it tonight, and at the Dallas Comic Con, I'll get a chance to talk about it with fans. But it's great.
Yeah. When talk about getting this part, I know that you do a lot of a wide variety of characters, but this is obviously the type of character where you experience a great deal of personal loss, and you have to kind of go through this real strong emotional journey.
Yeah.
When you first read this, I'm sure that as an actor, that's the kind of thing that you're like, oh my God, this is exactly the kind of role that I want to do.
Yeah, you know, I think Billy McAdams, who's from here in Dallas, and he's a wonderful filmmaker. I believe I met him at the Dallas Comic Con. I'm not sure. I know it was at a Comic Con, and he told me he was doing this movie and he wanted me in it. But guys come up to me all the time, tell me about they have these projects, and I go, yeah, sure, well, let me know. So then he sent me the script, and I really liked the script. I knew we had to put things together, put the money together, and all that. And then I think it was about 2 years later, he called and said, okay, we're ready to make the movie. And you know, it wasn't a lot of money, or a lot of times you have to think, well, why am I doing this? But I really appreciated the fact that he was so passionate about wanting to tell the story. And the character dealt with a lot of things that I personally can't even imagine. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some things that people go through in life, I just go, yeah, I pray I never have to visit that. But if you do have to go through that, what happens? How do you hold on to anything that you believe in, because everything has been turned upside down, and so it's about it's almost like about crucifixion, but it's also about the resurrection, that he finds his faith, he finds reason to go on, and it's really about the healing of a community, because when these events happen to us, and they seem to be happening all over the country again, it's almost like we step back 50 years, but the entire community suffers.
Yeah.
And the entire community has to recognize and heal and move on. And I think that's what happens in the movie.
Yeah, it's the kind of events that make you not only question your faith, but maybe kind of establish the importance of why we have faith and how it allows us to get through that.
To get through it, how to hold on to who we are, to our humanity. And so much of the stuff we see an event happen in another part of town, and we want to kind of compartmentalize and say, well, that's those people over there. And we don't realize that this is our community, and we have to heal together. There's certain things we can't control, but for our humanity, it's all of us. And if we don't recognize that we're all in this together, then we're certainly all in trouble together. So I am my brother's keeper, and I think that comes out. And then, this event that happens in the movie, it certainly seems racially inspired, but what we realize in the film is that the community is not any of that. The community is all of it, and that's the reason I wanted to do the movie.
Yeah. It seems like a wonderful kind of a showcase piece for you, and I'm very happy to see you get in that leading role the way that you are in this film. It's funny, you mentioned something, and I'm certainly not in any way saying that we would take credit for you getting a role, but you do go out there a lot, and you are in a lot of ways kind of the ambassador for the fans, particularly as far as Ghostbusters is concerned. I mean, you go out there and you press the flesh and you meet these guys.
Yeah.
Does that lead to projects?
Sure, yeah. I did a movie in Philadelphia called The Deer Crossing. Didn't do a lot in the movie, but it was fun. And I met the guys at a convention. I love the convention.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they exist. First off, it's like the coolest place to be, where there are thousands of people gathered together. And in the years I've been doing, I don't think I've ever heard of one violent incident.
Yeah.
I mean, people are there because they love the movies, they love the comics, and it's an appreciation, and it's a great, and it's family, people there with their family, so that's really kind of cool. And I don't know many things in our society where we can kind of gather around and just have a great time.
Yeah.
And people dress up and they do their cosplay, and it's and for me as an actor, it gives me a chance to really meet people, to really have a conversation with them. And I think it's going now when I'm at home or I'm just on the street, when people try to corner me and tell me about the Marshmallow Man, I don't really want to hear it. But when I'm at the conventions, it's fun, and it's really a chance to meet, fans all over the world. It's great.
I would imagine that you could never hold a Twinkie in public ever again because you just get bombarded with comments.
Yeah, no. Even without the Twinkie, I get Ernie. That's a big Twinkie, Tell them about the Twinkie,
Exactly.
In fact, today, it's funny, I was doing a television show earlier, and a lady had a big bag of marshmallows she wanted me to sign. So between Twinkies and marshmallows, but it's all good. And it's, 31 years later, I feel very blessed to have been a part of that.
Yeah. Well, and what I love is that you're one of the few people I can think of that actually, you really get out there and you not only like go out there to meet the fans, but you embrace the fandom of it yourself, because I've seen you show up, wearing the jumpsuit, and like when you see guys that bring the cars to the shows, like you go and you mingle with them and you hang out with them, and you don't always see that with stars, so it's nice to see that you actually embrace it.
Yeah, no, I just, well, listen, I think certainly the movie inspired a lot of stuff, and if you're going to come to the party, then party. It's like I have actor friends who I've seen do conventions, and they didn't seem very happy and kind of didn't want to be there. And I'm like, well, what's the point? Because you're not going to get rich doing a convention. But it's just great to, and I see guys, they show up with their Ghostbuster outfits and their backpacks. I'm like, well, wait a minute, I got a jumpsuit. I can put my jumpsuit on. So, I just think it's about having fun and enjoying the time that we have together. Life is not a forever experience. This year I've lost some very, very close friends unexpectedly. So while we're here, let's enjoy the moment. So if we're at a convention, let's be there.
If it's not, I certainly don't want to dredge up any bad memories, but let's look at it maybe as the opposite of that. Do you have a particularly fond memory of working with Harold and maybe some of the experiences you guys had together? He seemed like he was such a multi-talented guy, both in front of and behind the camera.
Yeah, Harold was a great guy. Harold was always the go-to guy. I mean, Harold was a guy that I could talk straight to. Sometimes with, and I won't mention any names of certain people, I had to kind of wait for them to be in the right mood or the right time or whatever. For whatever reason, but Harold was always someone. No matter what was going on, he would always take time out. And there were a lot of things going on in both of those Ghostbusters movies that I had to shake my head at, and Harold was always a guy go, "Hey, Ernie, don't even." So if there's any, I have no regret. I don't live my life looking back with regrets, but I will say I know that Harold had wanted to make another movie, and I wish we could have made that happen before he made his transition. But I'm happy that it's being done now. They're talking about it. But Harold was a good guy, and I consider him a good friend. And I don't want to imply that we hung out every weekend or anything like that. But I just have so much respect for him as just an incredibly talented man. And like I said, life is a short experience. We all know we have to make that transition, but what a legacy he left behind. I mean, not just Ghostbusters, but the work that he did. It's just an amazingly talented guy. And he left a big imprint that is going to be touching people for years and years to come. So I'm just very proud to have known him and to have had the blessing of working with him.
Well, I'm sure that with all the movies you've worked on, you've been around some pretty big egos. And sometimes, juggling that and being around that, like you say, having that kind of mutual respect can really go a long way.
It goes a long way. My grandmother, who raised me, she said, honey, we're human beings. On the human side, we're all in this, we're all fighting, everything is separated, and we're trying to get ours before somebody else does. In the being side, we're all together. It's spirit, and it's God, it's love. And so you gotta recognize that you're human, and you gotta go to work, but you also gotta recognize that you're spirit, and that we're all in this together, and we're all a part of it. And I think Harold, even with all the success, he was always aware of that spirit and always willing to take the time to make that connection. And let's keep it real. I mean, we're all here trying to make a living, trying to enjoy this time that we have. So I appreciate it. And then when you meet somebody like a Harold, they remind you of what's real.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. I'm not going to bombard you with all the questions because I know you've been asked a million times about like the new Ghostbusters movies and stuff. I am just curious. Have they approached you about possibly participating in some capacity? Because I would think that it would be a huge mistake, a huge misstep, to not try to include you guys in some way.
Well, I would think so, but I have not been approached to be a part of anything that they're doing. I heard they're doing 2 movies.
Yes.
And I also realize that I do a lot of press. You go to the different premieres and you're on the red carpet, and I found out you can't really joke.
Yeah.
Because when I first heard the idea about the women, they asked me, so what do you think about the all-female Ghostbusters? And I said, well, if it's all women, it doesn't sound like there's a job in it for me, which funny, but they didn't take it funny.
I saw what you were going for.
Like, come on, it's all women. Hello, so
I knew what you were going for. I totally got it, and everybody else misread it.
yeah, and I said I didn't think it was what the fans have been expecting,
Yeah.
and which I really felt that way. And then when I found out that it was real and they had a cast, and this cast is really an amazing group of women, I think they're very funny, and yeah, I'm happy that they're moving forward and doing something with the franchise because I think the fans have been. I mean, come on, this is a movie that the studios didn't get behind. I mean, I'm sure they made all the money they could make on it, but it was the fans who kept this thing alive, and kept it going. They made their backpacks. I mean, it's the fans who made. While we're having this conversation now, they love this movie. So, but I'm glad that something's being done, and I'd love to be a part of it if I'm asked, if it makes sense. But so far I haven't been.
No. I also wanted to ask you just briefly about working on The Crow and the experience of being a part of that film. Obviously, there was a lot of tragedy that came with that, but I also want to talk about maybe some of the positives that came out of it, because that was a film where we were kind of introduced to who I think is a brilliant director in Alex Proyas. I think he did a phenomenal job. I think the movie still holds up today visually, maybe more so than a lot of films at that time. And your character, I think, easily has some of the most quotable lines in that film. I would imagine that was a character that was also kind of a nice, rich, fun character to sink your teeth into, if for no other reason than the fact that you know, every line you have kind of steals the scene in that movie.
Well, I haven't seen it in a while, but I did. I love Brandon. I knew him for about 8 years before, the accident happened, and I just and the character was kind of, I think, a little bit of what I personally was going through. Sort of questioning life, and I think in the movie the guy's wife had left him. My wife hadn't left me, but he was in one of those places, and he was kind of looking at work, looking at life, looking at his career, and so it was an interesting character for me to play, and I love that character, and fans connect to it, and I'm very proud to have been a part of that movie. I was talking to my kids, they all, depending on what I'm doing, they've all, loved the Ghostbusters and the Congos and some of the other films I've done, but The Crow is the one that they still, after all this time, they still really love. I'm very, very thankful to Alex Proyas for, after the accident happened, he really took control and pulled that film together, and I think really cut it and make it what it is. Brandon, it's amazing, and if you have to go on a movie set, at least God, let it be a good movie. And I think it is a good movie, and I think it really reflects, his potential and his talent, and he was a very, very special guy. So, but I loved Albrecht, and I loved being a part of it, and careers move in directions. I don't know, I thought after Crow certain things were going to happen. I thought after Ghostbusters, I can't make sense out of this business. I never have been able to. But I'm thankful for the times that I have gotten a chance to come to work and actually be a part of something.
Yeah. Well, and the last thing I want to bring up, and then I'll let you go because I know you got other things you got to do here, but working on Oz, I imagine you get a lot of feedback off of that, maybe from people who have either been in the prison system or have had somebody in the prison system, and the kind of experiences that come out of that. And I think that show had a big impact on a lot of people. What are some of the interesting feedbacks you get from that?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Oz is one of those shows that people come up and it's kind of a love-hate thing with the warden. I don't. When people go, they really love the warden. That warden was really. I mean, he was. They hated the warden. I don't know why. I'm like, how do you hate the warden? I mean, he's a warden, for God's sake. He has a difficult job, you know. But he was a real jerk. Well, yeah, he's a warden, for God's sake. So, yeah, he was an interesting guy for me. You know, I would go to work and I'd see, you know, the cast and people. I'd walk in and everybody, hey, Ernie, and we'd talk and we'd kind of hang out, laugh. But when I'd go in and put on my suit and I'd shine my shoes, and I don't know, you know, look in the mirror, and when I walked back out, no one would speak to me. Not that I didn't ask them, you know, that I was wanting that. It's just something about becoming Warden Glenn that.
Was your suit of armor?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Suddenly it was like they would go, oh, it's the warden, you know. And we go, no, it's me, Ernie. No, it's the warden. And that was an interesting, you know, 7 or 8 year period that we did that show. I'm very proud of what an amazing cast. I think it was the most talented ensemble of actors I've ever worked with, and a lot of them have gone on to do, you know, some really good work, but really a good project to have been a part. I'm very, very thankful. Once again, I thought after Oz, you know, my career has never gone in the direction that I thought it would, but I'm very, very happy that I was able to be a part of that.
We've heard some rumors recently that you may or may not be reading for a role in Marvel's Black Panther. Can you speak to that at all? Is that something you can talk about?
I could if I, you know, if I had something to speak about. I mean, I love that Black Panther series, and you know, when I do the conventions, I'm always looking for Black Panther material for 2 reasons. Number one, because I love that, you know, the Black Panther series, but also my grandson is a huge Black Panther fan, and so when I find the toys, which are not easy to find, he's like really excited. So it kind of makes Grandpa really special to him. But yeah, when somebody posted that and it got picked up, and I mean, you know, Chadwick. I love his work, and I'd love to play his dad. My wife says we look like father and son. I don't know. So, I mean, I hope there will be some truth to that, but so far no one's officially offered me a job, other than fans telling me that they would really like to see it happen. So I hope they get their wish, because I'd love to see it happen.
We should start a petition right now just to make sure that it happens.
You want to see me.
I think it's important because, I mean, you are a fan of the comics. It'd be nice to see someone that actually is a fan play a part of those movies.
And Stan Lee, I always give him credit for my ever having gone to college. You know, before I actually started reading official books, I loved his comics, the Marvel comics, when I was, you know, very young, and Stan Lee's name was everywhere. So, and I'm glad to see the Marvel empire sort of happening. And yeah, I'd love to be a part of the Marvel world, and so we'll see what happens. You know?
Okay. Well, maybe if we spread the rumor enough, it'll just happen. Like, if we can make that happen. Ernie, thank you so much for being here, and we're looking forward to having you back in Dallas for Dallas Comic Con.
Looking forward to it. I mean, the fans here are amazing, and I love coming here. What a great city! I mean, you know, I was just this morning riding around. I mean, buildings are going up, and it's just.
It's a good time.
Excitement in the air, yeah. So I'm looking forward to being at the convention, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Ernie Hudson, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have more information at bigfanboy.com, and come see this man May 29th through the 31st at Fan Expo Dallas. Thank you, everybody.